And I welcome you. Now I have to speak a few formal things because it's in the part of the recording. Yeah. So we need to know some background of economics. Economics is a vast subject. Almost everybody or every course, even if you're learning cake making, and the teacher would say that learning cake making or making the clay models is a very vast discipline. But it's not only vast, it has a history. And I was trying to find some textbook where I could show this whole chronological history of economics through some graphics. Unfortunately, I couldn't find. But then I had, as I said before, in Finland, things are solution-centered rather than the problem-centered. I found an old-fashioned way. And the old-fashioned way was that I drew a picture. So I drew a picture of what does it look like? There we go. So this is like a the organized, the formal, the official, you can say, start of this discipline was, it took place in 1776, I would say. Before that, economics was a part of mercantilism, mercantile thing, some law of trading. But in 1776, there was a classic written by Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, right? And then in that book, it was considered that economics is not a separate discipline per se, but economics is a trifurcation, is a sum of three things. And those things are politics, economics, and sociology. One of the oldest school of economics is London School of Economics, very old-fashioned classical way of thinking. Even that school's real name is London School of Political Economy and Sociology. This is the original name. So politics, economics, and sociology, they have always been considered as a same discipline. But as the research progressed, as each of these branch became bigger and bigger and the branches were leaning, ultimately they broke off. And then we have the separate economics, politics, and sociology. And then economics itself grew a lot. And economics was split between the old-fashioned, the economics per se, and the business studies. So there used to be a time when economics had only two branches: economics as such, the pure economics, and its application, the business studies. But then each of them again became too big, delta. You know, when the river, the big river is going to join the sea, yeah, and then the clay and all the sand they bring, that stops the way of the river, and then you have the different directions. So then these deltas were formed. And the second tier of delta was economics and business studies. And then finally, economics got divorced from business studies. Not totally. It was still paying or receiving alimony. Then we had this economics, like microeconomics, macroeconomics, the public finance, international trade, development economics, and many, many more things. But then we also see in the business studies that accounting, finance, in many disciplines, would you believe it, that in many universities, they still follow a traditional approach, that in many universities, finance is still taught by not financial people, but by the economists. Example, at our doorstep, I joined University of Uvascula in 2010. And I was the first kind of formally trained financial management lecturer. And hitherto, before that, people who were in economics department, they used to teach finance courses. All right. But my argument is that the things get bigger and they branch out. And then we have accounting, finance, human resources, marketing, all those typical. I mean, you have got all the offerings, by the way. If not in this semester, maybe the next one, but you would be having, you'll be tasting all these courses, right? And then I left some space open at the bottom for deliberately, because there is lots of changes going on in economics. When I was a student, and even afterwards, I never thought about that technology will so much prolific and so much profound in the field of economics and business studies. And now, if you remember, we have a track called Technology Business Track in YUMC itself. People like me, the old-fashioned researchers, have changed. Now, my research is more about artificial intelligence, cryptocurrencies, blockchains. So we are evolving. So the basic idea is that the distinction, the categorization, the family didn't stop growing at accounting, finance, HR, and so on. It's still growing. Things are still evolving. The way technology is having an inroad into all these disciplines. Marketing, now you have digital marketing and many more development in this field. Right? Financial, we had I think on 13th of September, I think I shared with you that if you get some time, please do attend that lecture. People is a finance company, but they are dealing through the artificial intelligence. Things are changing. So obviously the universities also have to keep pace with what is going on in the industry. Yeah. So the message of showing this slide to you is that there is a history. If you want to study anything, try to study the history of the discipline also, that how things have changed or evolved over time. Okay, so that was the idea, that it's not a hearsay that economics is vast. Economics is really vast. It has a history. Many people call economics as mother of all the business studies, right? So even if you're studying marketing, human resources, accounting, finance, the fundamental arguments, the key ideas, they still come from the economic thought. So economics is a philosophy. Family I showed you. Now here comes a conflict. Economics has always been very much controversial discipline. There's always a tug of war between different kind of thoughts. And we have a very famous definition in economics that how you define economics? Well, where there are 5 economists and they have 6 views, it means we are talking about economics. So people have so diverse, so diagonally opposite views that it's hard to know what they mean. People change, the ideas change. I know when I grew up in India, and most of the economics which I studied in the schools, in the universities, are very left-leaning kind of economics. And I would say that it was to the extent that if you talk about the free market mechanism, people say, hey, you are a greedy person. Because it was so much inclined towards the left wing, the socialistic, the economics of socialism was so strong. But over time, the capitalism never remained a dirty word. It was accepted, the market mechanism, how things are determined by the demand and supply forces. This became a kind of a common day practice. And lately we have seen, after the financial crisis of 2007, that people are still getting neo-socialist, right? There is a lot of things that, you know what, the modern classical system of economics is not going to work. We need to reform it, or maybe completely uproot it and replace it by completely revolutionized new way of thinking. So lots of changes. Economics is a very vibrant discipline. Discussions, controversies, debates. The room is very open for this. Okay? Even nowadays, if you go to any discussion, people are talking about alternative economics. Can we have a alternative economic model where there is a more fair and square distribution of wealth and which is immune to these big bangs which we experience after every 10, 15 years? I'm not sure about how old you were in 2007, but in 2007, the global economy had a really a big jolt, right? The banking system, the total economic system was almost near collapsation. But that economic collapsation was nothing in comparison to what the world has seen in 1920s and 1930s, okay? But the problem is that we always experience these economic cycles from time to time. So people like me who follow economics for many, many years, we don't get surprised. Well, it's a part of the game. Things go wrong sometimes. The first controversy, the first point of contention which took place in economics was actually ignited by Adam Smith by himself. He said, economics is all about wealth. Everything which is wealth is good. Let's huddle together. Let's come together. Forget about welfare, forget about labor rights. Who cares about consumer rights? Let the labor be exploited as long as the wealth is produced. Let the workers work in the very dingy, unhealthy atmosphere. Who cares? As long as wealth is generated. And which wealth? Material wealth. Material which you can see in the form of material, like tangible wealth, but not the services, right? So this was the first kind of point of contention where there was a lot of discussion, debates, because remember, 1776, recall that time period. Europe is undergoing a great, big radical change, industrialization, and then people of very humanistic approach, Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, and many more people during that time are writing those very much, romantic poetry, where the human emotions, feelings, sentiments are put on the top priority, nostalgia. And then they read Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, which say, man is secondary, maybe far, 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 far behind in the queue. The first and the foremost thing which you should be focusing on is the wealth. And not only wealth, the tangible, physical, material wealth. So basically, if I'm a teacher, and if I suppose that I add some knowledge to you, according to Adam Smith, is useless. Because what I'm helping you is a non-physical thing. You get my point? Now you can say that, Shab, come on, how come it's non-physical? It's physical because I'm recording it and I would be sharing the recording with you. So it remains permanent, isn't it? But then comes the evolution of technology. But if you see the old-fashioned classroom, a teacher is helping you. He's not giving you anything tangible. You go to a lawyer, the lawyer gives you some legal consultation and charges fee. It's not a physical thing he or she is giving you. It's not that you go to the till point, all right, your grocery is scanned, you pay, you take. So according to Adam Smith, that kind of wealth, which is seeable, touchable, which has the physical property, is the wealth. So the 2 points which can make a big row, big debate, is that, first of all, how come a man is studying economics? Man, not in the gender connotation. A man, a human being, is studying economics, and what he or she is studying? Man is secondary and wealth is primary. This is diametrically opposite. And then not only the wealth is primary, but only the physical wealth is primary. Look at your IT services. So if we go by Adam Smith's definition, the market value of Apple or Microsoft or Adobe should be zero, because they're not producing any wealth, according to Smithian school of thought. But now you see that if you look at the top companies in the world, look at the tertiary sector. I can bet, if you look, I don't remember the figures, but it's my strong hunch. If you look at the GDP of Finland, more than half will be coming from the service sector. The service sector, which is immaterial, non-physical. So according to Adam Smith, the Finnish GDP should be half of what it is now. You get my point? This is a first way of thinking. Now we take a pause because I'm tired. The question is how to do it. Okay. Then as the time passed by, we had this thought of welfare economics. Welfare, the man is primary. No, the Smith definition was complete fallacy. Reverse the role. Not wealth is primary. No, man is primary. Man or the human is primary. And wealth is secondary. Wealth is there to help the man to grow, to develop, to be more, kind of whatever you have needs, necessities, you have the desires, you want to fulfill them, all right? And this wealth is helping you to achieve your utility function, to satisfy what you want to get. So basically, man is primary and wealth is secondary, complete role reversal. And did I write, who wrote this definition? It was Alfred Marshall. Alfred, A-L-F-R-E-D, Marshall, M-A-R-S-H-A-L-L, is an economist who propounded this idea that, you know what, it's a wealth which is helping. Wealth is a second fiddle to man. It only helps, assists man, the human beings. So this is complete opposite. Welfare could be enhanced by consumption of goods and services. So they also recognize that it's not only goods. Look, we often use the phrase goods and services. We have to be careful. Goods are representing material, physical wealth. And services are representing the non-material, non-physical, intangible wealth. So therefore, one thing is that this definition has recognized explicitly that it's not just goods, but also services, which are part of the wealth. Increase in per capita income is a measure of your wealth. So we have measuring the welfare. How to measure the welfare? So this definition, first of all, says that welfare is important, man is important, wealth is secondary. But second thing, they also say that wealth is a measurable phenomena. Now the problem is that there are some quantitative measures of welfare. I think, Piotr, when you take this research methods course with him, is he teaching this semester? Yeah. So you will be learning more about the variables which are quantitative or which are qualitative, right? And how we change the qualitative to quantitative. So when the word comes welfare, there are some very visible, tangible measures of welfare. For example, is welfare of the residents of Uvascula has increased over time or not? I can see many variables. measurable variables. The one thing is that I can see how many teachers per 100 students used to be in 2005 and how many are there. If the number of teachers per 100 of students has increased, it's a quantitative measure. Then I assume that all else being equal, the welfare of people living in Uvascula has increased. If I find that the road network of, it used to be X miles, X number of miles, kilometers in Uvascula, and then now it's X plus Y. So there is an increase. It's a physical measure of wealth or a welfare. If I see how many hospital beds are there available, how many doctors are there, how many specialists are there. So all these measures, which are quantitative, but then we also have some qualitative measures of welfare, which we may find a bit difficult to straight away calculate. Have we become more compassionate over time? Are we wiser than before? Do we have more, how to say it? Are we getting more benevolent? Are we more honest? These are some of the qualitative measures. So probably we need to find out some methods which can calculate the qualitative variables into quantitative variables. How do you like? How do you dislike? Of course, when you study marketing, you can make a qualitative variables into quantitative variables. For example, when you ask people in the street, how do you rate this product on a scale of 0 to 5? If somebody says, I really like it, you don't know how to calculate it. But when the person is putting a scale, okay, I rated 4, all right? Or I hate it, 0. So by doing so, your biases, your likings, your dislikings, your wishes getting transformed from being qualitative to quantitative. All right. So the wealth, we have the measures of welfare, which can be measured as such. But for the qualitative welfare, we have to find some reform, some modified methodology. Yeah, that's measurability. So welfare can be measured. If the stage 1 is that welfare is measured, then the stage 2 is that how to measure it. If I say that our welfare has increased because we have this nice auditorium, this has an area of 300 square meters. We have used 30 tons of wood here. We have used 150,000 bricks to make this auditorium. And we have used so many of this, that. It's a welfare. This auditorium is a symbol of welfare because we are doing something creative, productive here. We can measure it. I know tons, kilograms, miles, meters, they all are physical units. But do we have some problem? Do we still have some problem? Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about measurement? Is measurement a still problem? Well, it's a problem. How would you add up? If I give you an equation that add 300 kilos with 5 tons, with 20 pounds, with 34 gallons, and with 150,000 bricks, what is the sum? Or if I say add 5 apples and 7 bananas, and what's the sum? The units of measurement. So the measurement issue is solved. then the next question is, what should be the unit of measurement? And how do you measure wealth nowadays? Wealth or with the monetary unit. So what we do is that we convert we multiply tons with the price per ton. We have something in euros and so on and so forth. So we have a homogeneous measurement of some entity. And then we sum it up and then we say, okay, fine, this is the total value of this organization or this auditorium. So measurability is something which has made our life easy. We can disagree that maybe the money is not a very good measure, but of course we have it. Now, this is a small task for you.